All right, still working on my long form comic book history and review of the Justice League. That thing might be as long as the actual movie, so y'all bear with me. We're not doing any shows right now. I'll need to finish that out and I'll get that out to you guys. But I did want to do this video to discuss some things that are going on. I got to make an example of, and I think this is a prime example of a lot of the things that I've been talking about. So let's set the scene for you guys. I hope you know by now, watching my previous video, that Zack Snyder and them coming on this stream that was supposed to be for a good cause. He ends up dissing. I've done my content on it. I've said what I had to say, and out of that instance, right after it, there was a live stream that Ethan Van Sciver, Comics Artist Pro Secrets on YouTube, ended up doing, and I joined him, and something happened on that, which we're going to discuss here in a little bit. But basically, remember that hit piece that we talked about on we talked about on the stream, the show. We also discussed it in an isolated video where they were tying some people that you guys generally associate with because we appear on each other's pages and whatnot. We got some love for each other with Ryan as well as Nerdrotic and I think even Ethan Van Sciver on that. This podcast pops up out of nowhere. Stories starting to unfold on that, but they then took. Now they're taking aim at EVS, that same podcast that wrote that hit piece, tying them to the alt-right. The people that I just mentioned now are taking aim at EVS because they find an opportunity. So what happened out of that? Well, they shared a video which completely isolates the context, right? I'm not going to play it because that would be the point, right? In that they're trying to abuse rules by way of YouTube to then get strikes on people's channels, as well as to get their videos and streams taken down. We just saw this. They had said they were going to mass report Ethan Van Sciver, and that stream that I was on is no longer on, and Ethan got a strike for it. And what they did was take something completely out of context. Like, it's so out of context that Ethan is in the middle of talking, and they started it there. Now, Twitter allows for like 2 minutes, and for business accounts and stuff, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Their video is just, of course, isolating the context. I'm not going to play it 20 seconds because they wanted this to sound as worse as they possibly could. I'm not going to play the video, and I'm not even going to play my context, which I actually include the actual context in a broader sense. I will link that in the description box as well as the pinned comment if you guys want to see it, and share that out, because you can see that obviously that's not what it is. The reason why I said my bit is because I'm in this video. I'm in this stream when Ethan says what he says. And in fact, you have weirdos say, how could a black man sit there and listen to him say that? Like, I'm just responsible, number one, for everybody else. But also, again, it's almost as if there's larger context here, and it's not in the way or that they're presenting it. But Ethan said some stuff about Chinese people, and he was talking about how, he can't stop, Zack Snyder can't stop anybody from doing that. Now, before I get to the comment itself, we're going to set the scene as to how ridiculous it is that people just would up and think that, well, this is just him showing the panel showing that they're racist against Chinese people. Jesus Christ. Now, obviously, in larger context, you can see what the point of it was. But the point of the entire stream, which for whatever reason, no, not for whatever reason, we know they wanted to take it out of context. They want to present you as the worst possible person ever so they can then do whatever it is that they want. So all their bad behavior gets excused or justified because, hey, you're a bad person, right? The whole point of the damn stream was taking issue with the fact that Zack Snyder came on Geeks and Gamers, people that were associated with Geeks and Gamers, dissed that brand, and then immediately seemed to tie them to hate and this whole ordeal that recently went down with the attack on some Asian people, though it wasn't exclusively, and that one murder or going around killing people, that guy, it doesn't seem to be racially motivated anyway. Nonetheless, that's the angle that they're going to take. You know that. So that's the point of the stream in itself, is that is something that is so egregious, so bad, so horrible and horrific that it is that obviously you can't just be tying people to stuff like that. That's why people are taking issue with Zack Snyder's comment. So these fools are presenting that as if, well, he's just making a joke, a bad joke about because if you in order to say that he isn't joking, you'd have to say that he actually goes around murdering Chinese people, which of course, yeah, if you want to go out on record saying that, I wouldn't advise that. But to spin it, they're saying, well, this whole instance, right? There's these horrific accidents here. You're making light of what's happening because you're making this edgy joke. You idiot. The joke isn't about to try to make light of the situation. It was sarcasm in the sense that that's how he'd have to sound. That's how he'd have to sound in order for a person to just up and feel like he has to try to make the distinction that that's a bad thing and it isn't condoned. Zack Snyder, nobody ever assumed, which is the point that we had been making in the entire stream, nobody ever assumed that you were tied to that. And it's like, wow, you think you have to come in and try to convince people that stuff, murder and of innocent people, is bad? The joke isn't to make light of the situation. The joke is is at how stupid it is to feel as if you gotta come and try to convince. The joke's on you, not making light of the situation, which is why, though numerous times throughout that entire video or stream, which is 2 or 3 hours long, right? Ethan not only condemned those acts of what happens, calling them literally, like as in literally saying they're horrible and horrific. I said it. That's also the entire point of the stream. Why does it exist? Why did people take issue with a lot of what he's saying? Now, some people are isolating those two comments. Even if you isolate them, they're both bad either way on its own. But that's the idea of trying to tie people to something that is so horrific was the point. Why do you think we would take issue with it? Not only did we express that, but that's the whole point of the stream itself. That's why it existed. That's why people took issue with what was said. So why on earth in the same damn stream would somehow just a bunch of people around table just making light of it? No, the people are pissed that they're tied these groups of people to such a horrendous act. That in itself is the problem. But see, this is why I continue to say that trying to fight these guys honestly, honorably, is a losing strategy. You see the type of tactics they use. When you isolate context to try to present someone as if they are just out of nowhere making a joke about, or rather making light of a situation that is horrendous and horrific, you specifically remove it. You are allowed 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 20 seconds on Twitter. You could have easily put that in context. They chose not to for a reason. They know it's sarcasm. They just want to present it as if it's not, so they can then legitimize deplatforming you, taking away any type of livelihood that you have that's certainly in the public eye, because they want to present you as this just horrendous person. It ain't even about you thinking that the joke was in poor taste. Nobody cares. That's irrelevant. The facts of the matter is, as I mentioned before, the whole point of the stream is that tying people to something like that in itself is horrendous, is horrific, a bad thing, because the acts are horrific. That is stated numerous times throughout that stream. Nobody seemed to want to grab clips of that. But also, that's the point of the stream, you idiot. So this whole, well, it's a poor taste, is trying to be edgy. No, it's not making light of the situation. It's making fun of you and the Zack Snyder types who think that they just have to up and denounce and disavow certain things that, objectively speaking, any rational person would see that as horrific. Horrific. That's why you can't just up and be tying people to these types of things, bro. That's not cool. That's not funny. Now, again, these are the tactics that we're dealing with, though. That's why I want to do a video. It's not to convince them to stop doing it, because they're going to do what they're going to do. The only person in trying to show how irrational these people are, or how logically inconsistent they are, that stuff matters to, is the audience that we already have, that I already have, specifically on talking about some of these issues, and the people that may be in center, and they're just looking at it objectively. Those other folks, they're strictly emotional. They need dragons to slay, and they can't possibly see a situation in which they are the bad guys. So they will come for people's lives, take stuff out of context, even if they have to, straight up lie if they have to, because they want you gone, they want you eliminated, because they think they have some sort of moral superiority. And if you go watch that and you go read the entire thread, as well as my recent thread, as this whole rewriting Ripley podcast things gets unraveled, and we start to see that, of course, there's more to this situation, and there may even be some other people tied to it, which explains why it kind of just popped up out of nowhere like that. I reiterate constantly that stuff isn't funny, bro. See, all of you can go make as many podcasts as you want. You can make videos on me. I say this like, dude, this is a platform that you can upload stuff, that particularly YouTube, and it can generally be whatever you want, as long as it's not insane, right? Or there's those nuances with the terms of service that YouTube kind of makes some stuff kind of off limits. I've gotten 2 strikes on my channel that were removed, back-to-back champion. Nonetheless, for the most part, you can do that. So if you do a video on me, if you do a video on these other, fine. I'll make a video back, maybe. I'll reply. I'll monetize you. It's whatever, dude. Do it. But that's not what these guys are doing. That's not their plans here. What they want to do is tie you to horrific things. So they have to slander, be libelous. Those types of things are how they operate, right? Tie you to something. This is why, like, dude, y'all think that stuff is funny, just sitting there tying people to these horrific things, or people that have murdered millions over the course of history, and you just tie them to that immediately. It's just not tolerable, bro. It's not funny. That's not funny. Okay? But they do that. And again, if you just make videos say, I don't like what he says, I disagree, this is why. Whatever, dude, do it. Do it, man. Ain't nobody tripping on that. I monetize you. I respond back, because I'm probably gonna say something stupid. But that's not what they're doing. They're trying to come for people's lives, for people's livelihoods, taking any opportunity that they have, then in terms of them making money, or what they have been making money doing, they want that gone. You're influential. And I think these guys are starting to squirm right now, because their tactics aren't as effective anymore. People are starting to become acclimated to what it is that they're doing. They're starting to understand how they're operating. This is why they're like, damn, they brought us out the shadows when they tried to be in the shadows. They didn't cover their tracks, believing their names on their podcasts and stuff like that. So people find out who you are. Imagine that. These fools thought they could remain. And either way, that's still weird that you thought that you could just try to ruin people's lives. Try to ruin people's lives. And then remain in the shadows. Nah, you don't get to do that. But nonetheless, you didn't cover your tracks. People know who you are now, and they're starting to connect the dots. And as I mentioned, I did a long form post that you can kind of go check out about that situation. That who took that video out of context, those types of people. I did a long form video, because this is how, of course, they're approaching it now as things begin to unfold. They're trying to play the victim, like talking about they've been doxxed. Nah, you ain't been doxxed. Your name was on your podcast, on your website. You didn't get doxxed. You just didn't cover your tracks. That's all. And you did stupid. You did stupid stuff. That's all. That's all it's got to do with it. And of course, they're gonna try to now paint themselves as the victims. Probably fake, as I mentioned in this long thread, create fake accounts, try to pretend like they're getting death threats, because that's what they have to be. The victim always have to be the absolute victim. But make no mistake, this is something that you initiated. And again, the reason why I specifically take exception to it, because you're sharing stuff with me on it out of context, even though I didn't say anything, which then itself people took issue with ignoring the context because they didn't want to find out what it was. But you sharing stuff with my name tied to it, I take issue with that, bro. It's not funny. But people are starting to wake up to your tactics. And people are starting to adjust as they should. Keep it cold. You ain't even gotta like me, really, to be honest. You ain't gotta do none of that. But when you start to do things to feel like, okay, the first thing that I want to do, paint him in the worst light that I possibly can, tie them to very, very bad things, and then get them removed from all these platforms which they make money on, thus trying to destroy their lives. See, that's your tactic. Disagreeing all day long, doing videos about me all day long, you can do that. But when you do what you did, that's a problem. But we're becoming influential. They're starting to see an issue with that, and I get it. But the more people wake up to your bull crap and the more people address you head on, understanding that you are a person that will low blow, buy off the judges, buy off the refs. You're not trying to fight anybody straight up. We know how to operate now. So stop. But if you want to keep going this route, whatever. I mean, some of y'all gonna get the pants sued off of y'all by these people. I'm not one of those that goes and goes that route with most of the things that I do. Even people that slander and be libelous. You know, I don't want the state getting involved and all of that sort of stuff. I just rather address your head on and just make an example out of you, in the sense that people need to understand how you operate and people like you operate, so they can wake up to your bullshit.